tap here to share. Okay. I'm tapping there to share.
Now, on the bottom, it's going to say, like meeting or something.
This past due?
Yeah, so you got to wait until it says publish.
Got
I
it.
don't know why it does it. When it says publish, you got to click it and click publish. That's like a weird one. I don't understand that.
Okay.
But it is. The last thing, when you end the event, it's going to pop, it's going to open up the dialog box with a checkbox that says end event on YouTube. You
Okay.
have to check that out before you shut the camera off.
Okay. Still says past due, but
Yeah, it's going to do that for a few minutes.
so it's good. Is it recording now?
It should be recording. I don't know if it's going to be live streaming until you hit publish. But yeah, when the event ends though, on the bottom left, there's a red button. You just like click it and
Got
hold it and slide to the right.
So you're
and then the dialog box comes up. And
Recording?
like,
It's red?
finish on YouTube.
Doesn't mean it's published yet. That's right.
It's the button on the camera is red.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it should be recording. You just have to look out for the publish button on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't go on online. People gets cut off.
Okay, thank you. What's the code again?
8948.
8948. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Speak to you later. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so we're currently on page 197. 197. Okay, so PSA, public service announcement, because I always feel bad if I cancel. Next week, we are not on. That's the between camp and school Bitachon week, where you have to really have a lot of Bitachon so you don't go crazy with your children. That's the between school and camp and school, right, all these days. So that's next week. In 2 weeks, it's TBD. We'll see what's going on with Eretz Yisrael, but we'll see. Other than that, let's continue. So we're in the fourth paragraph. We're mamish at the end. Mamish at the end. Another two shiurim and saying, and then we're going to finish paragraph V, which is the main crux of the sefer, which is really the real avoda. And we've given a lot of shiurim. I don't know what number one now. We're like 108 shiurim since we started, something like that. It's anybody who's been with us for a while knows that it's a real journey, and it takes time to settle in. Hearing it the first time and then letting it settle in and then working on it, falling to sadness and tension and stress, and then thinking, 1 second, what happened there? Maybe I should use maybe Tachon, coming back to the drawing board, downloading it again, going back into the world, again falling. This is how you work out. This is how you build. Each time, really, you are building, you are gaining, but your Yetzer Hara will let you think that you're not really gaining. Oh, you fell. You're obviously, you're not a Habitachon. You got stressed. That's not true, because the very fact that you're thinking like that, like we said, the very fact that you're even thinking, am I a Habitachon or not, that means you're in the game, right? By definition, that means you're in the game. But the Yetzer Hara tries to turn everything around against us, which will show, I think, a very, very sly trick of the Yetzer Hara we're going to talk about today. One day I would love to put out like a sefer, like Das Yitzrecha, Know Your Yetzer Hara. He has a lot of sly tricks that... if you don't think about it, he mamish nails us. Especially when we think we're doing good. That's when he gets us. When he uses a mitzvahs and avodas Hashem against us. All right, we'll speak out a nekuda today. Okay, so we're in the sixth category of the seven, trying to draw down, again, the world of Bitachon. Kodesh Baruch Hu runs the world. Everything's for the best. He controls everything. No one can do anything without him. All of those ideas, we're trying to draw it in to our heart. Of course, that ultimately will make us calm with whatever situation happens. Right? So we have those who can see the visual. We have the overall yedias of Bitachon. We're trying to draw that down into our hearts so we feel calm. We feel that Hashem is taking care of the situation, not just know it. And we can answer that on a test, on a multiple choice. Does Hashem take care of the world or not? A, yes, B, no. And you circle in yes. That's great. But do you feel calm? So we want to draw it down into our heart. The problem is, not the problem, it's just life, is that between those amazing ideas of a Kodesh Baruch Hu and my heart, there's a whole world of life. There's myself and my physical needs, my emotional needs, going to work, Hishtadlus and Parnasa. There's then Ruchnius. How does one deal with the stressful, work? How does one deal with pushing to do mitzvahs, seeing results, not seeing results? How do we deal with the stuff of life? How do we get from the bitachon, the ideas, into my heart, even though we have to go through life? That's what really the fourth parak has been about. Trying at each stage to, on one hand, understand where our hishtadlus lies, where one has to put in effort, and at the same time, concurrently, together, trust that whatever does happen, whatever our hishtadlus accomplishes, whatever we're able to put in, is exactly the way it's supposed to be. And we just keep going through life, hand in hand, hishtadlus and bitachon. You cannot have a proper bitachon, trust, and calm if you don't put in somewhat the right amount of hishtadlus. If I put in no hishtadlus, it's going to be very difficult to actually be calm, because you're going to keep thinking in the back of your head, maybe I should have done more, maybe I should have done more, maybe I should have done more, right? And if you put in too much hishtadlus, then you're going to have a world of stress, and it's going to squeeze you, press you, too many hours, too much stuff, and then you're in a world that's not even who you are anymore. So it has to be the right amount of hishtadlus within a certain range of hishtadlus, because no one's perfect. But we have to understand, whether it's work, whether it's with the wife, and whether it's with the kids, whether it's with Ruchnis and Kodesh Baruch Hu, whether it's with our, whatever it's with, whatever the situation is, what do I need to put in so that I'm able to be open to trusting in a Kodesh Baruch Hu that I did what I could, and I know the results are up to you, but I did mine, Kodesh Baruch Hu, you do yours, but I trust you. Whatever the results are, after I've put in the right hishtadlus, we can't keep questioning our hishtadlus also. In a healthy way, we can afterwards analyzing in a healthy way. But once we decide in any given situation, again, we've worked through it, not stam, not as a response, as a proactive attempt to live a life of bitachon and tranquility, God consciousness, we try to put in the right amount of hishtadlus to this situation. At that point, you say, whatever now is. Now you can breathe. I trust that a Kodesh Baruch Hu, who runs everything, who takes care of everything, who wants for my best interest more than I even know. Nobody could stop him. At that point, he takes on, and it's perfect. Whatever happens is perfect. It looks bad. It's not the way I expected or wanted. Part of bitachon is getting rid of that. My wants and desires have to be nullified to Hashem's wants and desires. We're going to talk about expectations today. I think the destroyer of mankind. And that's where we have to just let it go. That's living bitachon. And there's no situation in life, not making a coffee in the morning, to going to work, to dealing with the kids, that bitachon cannot be involved with. There's nothing in the world. Not the weather, nothing. Everything has to have bitachon. Now, with the weather, just parenthetically, you can't do any hishtadlus with the weather. Straight bitachon. Whatever happens, accept it. This is what's best. It's raining and it's supposed to be an outdoor chuppah. Your daughter's been dreaming about it for 9 months, 9 years, 90 years. Before she's alive, she's already been dreaming about the outdoor chuppah, and then it's raining on that day. Bitachon can be. There are other tools to use, but bitachon, if it's worked on before, you can't just on the day of, honey, you should have bitachon. If you're a person of bitachon, you've given up on all of your. You've given up on your wants and desires, not to become a person who has no hopes, no wants, no desires, nothing. But of course you can have wants, but understanding. Pay attention. That my wants and desires become hishtadlus, but whatever happens, I still have to have bitachon that a Kodesh Baruch Hu still decides. Right? I could still want and hope and dream and have all these amazing things. Of course I should want an outdoor chuppah. What's wrong? It's beautiful. But all of that's still hishtadlus. My wanting in life is also a type of hishtadlus. Because do all my wants get answered the way that I wanted? No, nobody's does. No such thing in life. The biggest tzaddik doesn't have such a thing. So think about it. All wants, hopes, expectations, we're going to talk about this a little bit more today, we're just giving a Hagdama, all of that should be put into the category called Hishtadlus. It's a big reframe. If you can get this, if you've gotten up until now what Hishtadlus is and what Bitachon is and how that works together, and you can put all of your wants and desires into the category called Hishtadlus, you will live a tranquil life. You will live a life of Bitachon, of a calm, happy, tranquil life. Because it's usually the wants and desires of life that throw us off. I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get what I expected. I thought I deserved more. I got the deal, but I thought I should have gotten more. Right? We always say the gap. We've discussed this. We're just chazing over because we haven't been here in a while. My fault. That wherever you have wants and desires, expectations outside of what you have. I currently have whatever health I have. I currently have whatever house and dwelling place I'm in. I currently have whatever family that I have. That's what I have. Anything, 1 ounce, 1 inch outside of what I have, I want, which is, we'll call it normal according to a human. It's normal. Whether it's in money, whether it's in respect, whether it's in family things, whether it's in, I want more quiet in life. Anything. Any want or desire. It's very important, practically, that we pay attention. What do we actually want and desire? We don't even think about it. We just want. We don't recognize that we want, which is very important to know, in parentheses. Any ounce, again, this is for the visual people, right? This is me. My fist here is me. Anything that I want outside of myself that I don't currently have, there's now a gap, correct? I have to get exactly what I want for myself to be happy. If I don't get that which I want, I'm in pain. I wanted it, I didn't get it, and now I'm in pain. And without putting anything else into the situation, without any bitachon, without any emunah, without anything else, that's called pain. The gap between what you have and what you want, what you desire, is a potential world of pain. True or not true? True. That's the way it is. So bitachon helps us two things. Number one, understand that just because I want something doesn't mean I'm going to get it. And the Kodesh Baruch Hu decides what's best for me. So if you can really live with that, so you can have what you have, you can want what you want, and always be happy even if you don't get what you want. Because that's when trust kicks in. I trust that this is what the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants me, and it's actually better than I could have expected. It's hard for me. You have to let it settle in, and time again. And then once in a while, you'll see how it really wasn't the best for you. And that helps you. Kodesh Baruch Hu gives that to you, so you see that even at the times where you don't realize how this not getting my want is my best, we'll be able to handle that in all situations. Bitachon also, in a healthy way, if it's done properly and healthy, will lessen the gap between what I have and what I want. Bitachon can help us lessen the gap, which causes less pain at the end of the day. A person who wants $1 million and doesn't get it, it can be easier if you only wanted $10 and you didn't. It can be. Again, it's more in depth in the mind, but it can be easier because I didn't want so much. Okay, so I didn't get it. When you want the big and you expect the big, you don't get the big, you fall big. When you only wanted a little bit, maybe I don't have to have it anyway. It's not that big anyway. I'll make it up some other way. So with that, let's go back into now. We're on page 197. We're in the world of schar. Now, what we've been discussing for a long time is really the schar of olam haba. Doing mitzvahs, learning Torah, doing mitzvahs, and then that promised schar in olam haba. And how a person has to live a life of do what you have to do and trust that a Kodesh Baruch Hu will provide for you in olam haba. We then went on a long journey. Why isn't olam haba really mentioned in the Torah as schar? The punishments are all there. The punishments of olam haba or Gehenna is not really mentioned in the Torah. It's not mentioned in the Torah. Why is that? We went through many reasons, and it was a lot of understanding, a lot of big ideas came out of that. It's Kedai, of course, to listen again in Chazer. But we have to understand is that if I'm just going to take you back a page, I want to just read to you so we don't forget. I'm going to get it for you in a second. It's on page 178. I think it's very important just to realize what we're dealing with over here. So on the bottom of page 178, I mean on the top section, I'll just read the English. The explanation of the sixth category, that's what we're in right now. The reward that a person receives in this world and in the world to come. Which a person receives if deserving of it on account of his good deeds in the world. Meaning, very simple, we're discussing Schar of Olam Hazeh as well. Even though people have the whole, you have to give a whole share about it. How could there be Schar of Olam Hazeh? There's a Gemara that says, Schar mitzvah, Bahai al Maleka, there's no Schar in this world. We've discussed that. But imagine you didn't know that Gemara. And you assume, which a lot of people do, that there is some kind of Schar in this world. However you explain all the big ideas, but a person who lives a life of Torah mitzvahs, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give him a good life, which is called the Schar. That thought, we have to understand it properly. Because that thought, think about that. What we take on as a Davar Pashut, if I live a life of Torah mitzvahs, like Hashem says, then I'll live a good life. Doesn't mean I'm going to be the richest guy, but I'm not going to be poor. I'm not going to have all these troubles because I'm doing what Hashem wants, and therefore I should receive a good life. I think it's a very basic thought that people think. If they're not thinkers, I think most people live with that thought. Right? But let's stop for a second. Let's analyze that. Is that thought? If I keep Torah mitzvahs like Hashem says, then I will have somewhat of a good life. Again, good is very vague, but a good life. Is that a want, desire, or expectation?
Expectation.
It's an expectation. It's also a want. It's everything. It's really everything. It's not. It is a want, a desire, and expectation. You made up this cheshbon. If, then. The if, then makes it an expectation because it's a calculation. But beyond that also, it's always a want and desire that we have a good life. We consider what we expect to be a good life, what we want and desire to be a good life. Everything. If you break everything down, it's all based in our wants, our desires, and expectations. We're not going through it right now, but that all comes because we have a body. Because we're a soul and a body. And a body is a nefesh bahamas, and a nefesh has a body has an ego, and a body has wants and desires. It's an animal. And it wants what it wants. The soul aspect of the person, learn time in the Sarma Kedoshim, has to overcome that and tell the body, that's not how it works. You're not really an animal. Or you are, but I'm going to guide you. Right? We're talking to the soul over here, the neshama, and then the soul has to settle down to the body. But if you really break down your thoughts, I'm no psychologist and I don't know, but most of what we live with on a daily, unless you've worked on it, it's based on wants, desires, expectations. Because that's how we're programmed. Again, body program. It's automatic. So unless you're a neshama, unless you've activated your neshama in a way that your neshama controls your body, which most people don't even know they have a neshama. Do you have a neshama? Of course I have a neshama. What does that mean? Well, it means I'm spiritual. Okay. Can you utilize that? Have you ever spoken to your neshama? If you get a little bit deeper, people are like, no. But when I daven, I'm using my neshama, right? Love davka. There's a whole sugi of the neshama. It's not really dealt with in schools, or post seminaries. We need to start working on that. But Al Kapanim, unless you've really worked on it, or else you're just born a tzaddik, which is rare, very rare, then you haven't tapped into the control system of the neshama yet, and therefore your neshama is not taking control over your body. Yeah, you in the back.
Did you say that you just made a very important statement, unless you were born a tzaddik? Would you like to say that a tzaddik, for most of them, is not born and made, or I tend to believe that they are born, but they then make themselves. In other words, you can be born a tzaddik, but if not properly planted, you may not exhibit that tzaddik. For example, you take a Rabbi Yosef Soloveitchik. He was born a a tzaddik. He could have maybe totally abandoned that being that way, but because of his DNA.
So let me pause this conversation because this is not a conversation for now.
Oh, okay.
Because what is a tzaddik?
That's a story of my life.
This is a big sugya.
Nobody has it. It's never this right.
How do you define a tzaddik? There's a lot of it's a big sugya, but it's not. I don't want to get off topic right now.
Okay.
But you're on your way. No.
Me? I haven't reached even where the ground is to get to the ladder.
But you're on your way, yeah.
I don't know.
See, everybody says, no. But you could still be on your way, right? Think about it. People are giving up. I'm not, so therefore I never will be. Who said that? Are you on the ladder? You're not on the ladder. Baal Shem Tov says, if you're holding on to the ladder, you're on the first rung, but you're holding on to the ladder, so you're holding on to the top level also. You might not be there yet, but you're holding on, right? You grab a piece of a sefer. Am I grabbing onto the whole sefer or just a piece? Look, when I move this piece, I'm grabbing the whole thing. So be very careful. You're on your journey. You're on your way. It's better to be on the way to be a tzaddik than I'm not. I'm on the way. Might take another 30, 40, 50. So what? Al Kapanim. Sorry about my throat. So we have a world and a human psychological way of being that almost everything that the next move in life, wherever that is, whether it's Gashmias, Ruchnias, family, is a want, a desire, and expectation. And if we do the Torah mitzvahs, well then, I should get some within a range, but I shouldn't get any problems. Okay, maybe one little one, but after that one little one, I no more. And not a big problem. Man, I do Torah mitzvahs. What do you mean? Why do I get all that? That's for like Rishoyim, all that bad stuff. Why should I lose out on money? Why should I have people have diseases? Why should I have any of that bad stuff? What's the person saying? I don't want that. I don't desire that, and I don't expect that. So therefore, I shouldn't. And therefore, if I do, I'm upset. I'm angry, or something's broken in the God system. Something's wrong with him. We don't usually look to ourselves. Or a person looks at himself and then he goes depressed because they don't know how to look at it properly.
That goes against, or seemingly, as tightly to what we said before. If you want 100, then you feel like, oh, it's a big deal. If you don't get it, it's a big drop. If you want 10, say, maybe I didn't really need it. But if you say, I only want the 10.
So that's when I said that comment before. I said it depends on different minds and it's not so pashut. So I held back on that. Different people can have, he wants 10 could be just as bad or even worse than I wanted 100. I only wanted 10 at Kodesh Baruch Hu. And you can't even give me 10? There's that type of person also. There's a lot of different types of people out there. But it's all rooted in the same thing. So wants, desires, expectations. Let's learn. 197. Vein roy livtoach al ma'aseu hatov v'yavtiach nafshu b'gmul ha'olam hazeh v'ha'olam haba al ma'aseu ach yitrach v'yishtadil b'hodol tovas haborei. Page 198. Hatimidos alav lo l'sigvas gmul osid she'yaschayv lo ma'aseu. In the Hakdama, the Chovos HaLevavos made something very clear. When it comes to bitachon, trusting, you can really, truly only trust. Trust means I fully give myself over, all my wants, desires, and emotions, my potential calm, I'm giving it over to the one I trust in. For sure, we don't want to trust in others. That's never going to work. But what he also told us that you can't even trust in yourself. Don't rely on your strength. There's a pasuk in Yirmiyahu Navi. Don't rely, I forgot what the pasuk is. Don't rely on your speed, because not everybody who has the fastest speed wins the race. Don't rely on your wisdom, because not the smartest person doesn't always make the ingenious idea. Don't rely on yourself. Okay, we have to be careful not to become depressed. That's not. But reliance can only be on a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Hishtadlis is on us. Put your all in. But bitachon is only on a Kodesh Baruch Hu. So he says it is not proper for a person to rely on his good deeds. We're discussing the mitzvahs now. And that cheshbon, that calculation of good deeds equals good schar. It is not proper for a person to rely, have bitachon, on his good deeds and to assure himself that he will receive a reward for his deeds in this world and the next. I want to deal with this world now. Rather, he should exert himself, hishtadlis, and make efforts, hishtadlis, and work hard to do as a way of thanking the Creator, for the constant kindness that He bestows upon him. We've discussed these ideas. The Chovos HaLevavos holds the Yesod HaYesodos, the most foundational reason why a Yid does Avodas Hashem, and the best possible reason as a Yesod, forever you can rely on. I am serving Kodesh Baruch Hu. I wake up in the morning to go daven. I work hard to make money so I could buy Shabbos food, and I fast in Yom Kippur, and I do all the Torah mitzvahs. Because I have a Kodesh Tov, and I have thanks to Kodesh Baruch Hu that I'm alive. Simple as that. And not just being alive, also living and breathing and having all the things that we have. The very basic fact that a Kodesh Baruch Hu gives me life, Moda'ani lefanecha, Melech Chai v'Kaim shechazarti bi nishmasi, should fuel your entire day of Avodas Hashem. To pay Him back. We're not speaking here about doing so you get schar. Schar, you owe Him. You wake up in the morning, you already owe a Kodesh Baruch Hu 24 hours of Avodas Hashem. True or not true? Remember that for the rest of your life, and you'll be a happy person. When you wake up in the morning, we should all wake up, 120. The second you wake up, you already owe 24 hours of Avodas Hashem. You owe it. He gave you life. He didn't have to. And at a certain point, He doesn't. And then we move on to the world of the neshamas. But if you woke up, He didn't have to wake you up. Right? Do we control if we wake up or not? We expect to. We want to. We desire to. Well, because I've been doing it my whole life, So why not another day? But it's not so true. We know it's not true. Second you wake up, you already owe 24 hours, not a second, not. Now, Kodesh Baruch Hu is very nice. He doesn't demand as much as we owe Him. Because if He would demand all 24 hours, we wouldn't be able to get 10 seconds out of bed. Can you imagine you have an army? Can you imagine you have a drill sergeant? The second you wake up, let's go, get up. You got to move fast, you got to brush your teeth, you got to get to davening. And then you're davening. You're there. Oh, where's your kavanah? Can you imagine your drill sergeant? You're here the whole day. Habitachon, you're at work making phone calls. Habitachon, screaming at you. You won't be able to live. Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't do that because he's even kind in His kindness. Right? He gives us room to work. And it's not 24 hours of avoda. We maybe put in like 6. Okay, Hashem says, okay, 6, okay. You know what? I'll still give him a parnasa. I'll still give him a house. I'll still give him a family. I'll still give him life. 6 hours. Maybe 6. Kodesh Baruch Hu is very kind to us. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. We have to change our mindset. This is what's going on here. Don't expect. Who said? Just because you've had it every day until now. It's in this past week's parsha. You just had it. Moshe Rabbeinu says to class, you're going to be satiated, achalta v'savata. You're going to be satiated, God's going to give you everything. And then you're going to what? You're going to kick. You're going to kick. Then you see, I did this. Kochi v'otzim yadi, I did it. The next pasuk says, who gave you the strength to do it? And Moshe Rabbeinu says, you're going to say, I did it with my strength. Moshe says, who gave you the strength? The thing you did, you used your physical exertion. You lifted the rock. So you think you're such a hotshot because you lifted it. Moshe says, well, who gave you the actual biceps and the physical strength to be able to lift the rock? We forget. That's the v'ram levavecha v'shachachta. You become haughty. I did it, and then you forget how you got here. Kids forget that their parents gave millions of dollars to support them, right, to get them to where they are. Somehow they forget. Everybody forgets.
Yes, they never knew.
They might have never known.
They never know.
People forget.
Until you're
you need them. Yeah, until you have them, or
Yeah. Then they.
Or until they're doing it to their kids. And they're like, oh, you know what? My parents also.
Suddenly, my father got smart.
Yeah, but this is what it's like. We move on and we forget how we got it. No one is self-made. There's no such thing. That term self-made is such a sheker. Self-made? How could you? You? How did you have milk when you were 6 months old? You're self-made. That's crazy. At some point in your life, you made some moves on your own. But how did you even have the brains to do that? How did you? You only become right. Everyone understands. That's self-made.
You're not self-made. You have angels when you're born. And you have angels as you grow in each stage.
Exactly.
There's some angel out there. We sit in a room and think to ourselves, at each stage, we don't realize it, but you had an angel in the 3rd grade. It could have been a teacher, could have been your gym coach, It could have been somebody, one meeting with somebody. And as you then go off into the world, now that, like we're the longest people that have to really be brought up.
But we have to add this because we don't want to make a mistake, because you're right. Besides the fact you've had angels, but beyond those, who sent those angels?
Somebody.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Yes.
We can't forget that.
It's usually within your family or somebody.
Something.
Who did a merit for you and now it's,
right, they're all shluchim, they're messengers of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and so therefore no one's ever self-made. Whether you had a physical messenger, but even that, beyond that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you every single second. We have to let these things settle down. Really think about it. Go back to our past. Don't go to the future. Think how we got here. Think.
Nobody does that.
If we would do this, that's part of bitachon work. We need to be mizbonin, bona, bina, build through bina, through havana, understanding, analysis of our own lives. How could I really have got to this point? So you say, well, I needed my parents, I needed my teachers, but then how did those people get into the world? How did my mother have the right advice for me? Because of her mother, or her father, or her teachers, she has a whole world in of herself. It becomes a chart that's so big. What was that chart in the business world? The egg chart, org chart. The org chart becomes so large. There's only one answer. It's Kodesh Baruch. At a certain point, when something becomes so big,
the difference between a behemoth and a human is the person who suddenly becomes extraordinarily wealthy, and the one who deals with that, where one says, I'm very thankful, and will come and daven to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and then there's the other one who says, I did it, and you see it. I mean, you can see the difference between these people, that one is connected and one is disconnected, and the person who's disconnected inevitably somehow comes upon a fall somewhere, because
it could be, or sometimes, and those types of,
it's something I think you have to grow and see. It's hard to explain to a 20-year-old person that's what's going to happen. You're going to meet those people in life. Two different types of people.
You can talk to them right there. They're about 20 years old. Yeah, so you got it. 20 years old. So Viter, so he says, so we have to understand. Okay, let's read it. It's not proper for a person to rely on his good deeds. It seems when you read it, it's like it makes sense. It's logical. But it's very, very, I want people to know it's very subtle. It's really very subtle. Well, let it settle in. Do not rely on his good deeds, because we came into a world, and we live in a world, okay, where what you put in, you get out. That's what Mama said. What you put in, you get out. That's what we said. If you study for the test, you'll do good on the test. It's true, and it's not true. You do need to put your status in, but that doesn't mean you could expect what the results are going to be.
Is this in the realm of feeling that you deserve?
Yes. Sure. Right. I'm putting them all in the same.
Right. So if you feel that you deserve, why don't you look at everything that you got from the Rabbi Shalom? You're not even a millionth of deserving, even with all that you do.
Yeah.
That in and of itself.
And there's a danger, because it's funny. If we don't have the right eyes, if we don't have the right understanding, we could look back at our lives and be like, wow. Or let's say a person who just lives without the thinking so much, and he's a person who's had his whole life, and he understands to some degree, he has a munah that a Kodesh Baruch Hu is the one who's provided for him. He can automatically expect that will continue. It's because he realizes
he's
that
a fool if he believes that.
But it's funny, because this is one of the tricks of the Yetzer Hara. I believe that a Kodesh Baruch Hu has given me until now. I believe he has a munah. It's the right language. Kodesh Baruch Hu has given me until now. Why? Because I do Torah mitzvahs. So then he expects that will continue. Ultimately, that's a dangerous thought, right? Because again, it's still lav dafka. At the end of the day, it's still lav dafka. Just because until now it's happened, it doesn't mean there's no if-then statements.
All right, where can I ask you a question? I'm sorry we're at a point here right now in this year where, just if you could clarify, I may not be up to date. Where does the Emunah and Bitachon separate or come together?
Emunah Bitachon?
Yeah, the difference in what we're talking now about expecting where does Emunah and Bitachon apply differently, the same?
I think Emunah. You have a sitter? Right there? Have a sitter? Emunah says like this. It's okay. Ashkenaz says the first two letters is Aish. Don't forget. Oh, that's not the final. 1 second. Here, let's just see 1 second. Ani ma'amin be'emunah shleimo shabori yisbarach shemo gomel tov l'shomer mitzvosav. I believe with complete faith that a Kodesh Baruch Hu does good for those who keep his mitzvahs, u'ma'anish over mitzvosav, and he will punish those who don't do his mitzvahs. Schar v'onish. You believe? Is there a cheshbon? I hope more than yeah.
No, I mean
that's emunah. Emunah. But what happens when a person gets a punishment or a person doesn't get what he wants?
Yeah.
Are you calm in that? Oh. That's what Kodesh Baruch Hu decided. Are you able to handle that?
So now where does Bitachon?
No, that's Bitachon. Emunah is, I believe, you believe?
Right.
We believe. This is true. This is a rule.
All right, now and Bitachon?
Now live your life calm, knowing that when you get schar, it's from a Kodesh Baruch Hu, his decision, and when I get punishment, it's his decision, and I don't really understand, and I don't know what the cheshbon is, and just to live in a way of tranquility, bitachon. That's a simple way of putting it. We say the Ani Mammons every single day, but we're just reading through a list of Emunas, Ani Mammon, and I believe it. Of course I believe it, but you're not living it yet, because it didn't happen the second yet. What happens when you get challenged in it? How do you respond? Is it just in your head, or is it also in your heart? That's the major difference between Emunah and Bitachon.
But aren't we talking about the flip side of that? We're saying here that when there's a schar or when there's an onesh, then I live through that with Bitachon. Well, 10 minutes ago we were talking about is when you're expecting something and it doesn't happen. So now you're in this.
Same thing. So Bitachon. So Emunah says there is a schar and onesh, but I'm calm because I don't know what this.
I don't know when that's happening.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's always the same thing. See, what happens is, because we're not trained, when we read the list of Ani Mammons, I believe this Schar V'Onesh. Now, that's all it says. What happens in my head is, well, the way Schar works is if I do the mitzvahs, then I'm going to get the Schar, and everything's exactly the way that I expect it. I know my cheshbon of mitzvahs, I know what Schar means, I know what's good. So it becomes very narrow. Believing in schar and onesh is a huge idea, and I believe in it. But the definitions, if I start to impose my own definitions on what does it mean Torah mitzvahs, what does it mean the cheshbon, what does it mean the schar, then I'm going to be in a world of pain if it's not exactly the way that I think it should be. Who said we should make definitions? That's the biggest problem. We automatically, and it could be we were taught, or we automatically make these calculations. And a lot of it is because, well, we live in a physical world, and we often try to just translate the physical world into the spiritual world. For example, what you put in is what you get out. So if I lift 20 pounds, so then I will get 20 pounds of extra bicep, whatever that means. But I did it. I did the work. But when it comes to the world of spirituality, you don't know how to calculate all these things. You have no idea. Let go. Just do your ishtadlis. For real, let HaKadosh Baruch Hu make the results. Give up on all that. Recognize you have these wants, desires, and expectations. Recognize that they probably are not right, and they're just, you made them up. And then drop them, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows better. He's been around a lot longer. And he'll do better for me than I could even expect. It looks to my eyes like this is darkness, I have to be able to come to the point where, but to Hashem, it's light. And try to close that gap, right? When it's outside of me, it looks like darkness, but as we get in closer, it could turn more into light, as we discussed earlier. But it all starts with the recognition that we live with an expectation. We live with these wants and desires. And again, it's tricky because it's from Torah and mitzvahs. What do you mean? I'm doing the thing that God told me to do. The Moshe's yelling about all Devarim. I'm keeping the mitzvahs. Tishmor. I'm doing it. I'm trying my best. Therefore, I should get the best. The therefore is very dangerous. And I'll tell you, because we're going to have to end in a minute. We didn't get anywhere like I wanted to, but it's exactly where I wanted to. I'll tell you the trick, one of the tricks of the Yetzer Hara. He's very, very tricky. Because if you understand until now how expectations, which are body-made, they're so dangerous. I'm going to make a new line for you. Ready? We're talking about over the course of a lifetime. I'm not going to pigeonhole into one situation. Over the course of a lifetime, I'm going to stand behind this 99.9%. Expectations equals pain. I said it. I'm not talking about one situation where I expect this in it. Over the course of a lifetime, expectations overall, again, over a lifetime, will equal pain. If you put down all of your expectations, it's not possible, put down all of your expectations and the results and how you felt afterwards, I think ultimately they created more pain than. Now what? Even if you don't say that, you don't want to go that far. But very often, expectations can equal pain. You could agree with that?
Yes.
That you could. So this is the trick of the Yetzer Hara. Now, what?
If you don't have expectations, how do you progress?
So we have to learn how to have God expectations. We have to live life. Of course, we're going to expect. But it has to come from the place of God's perspective, not the body, the soul's perspective, right? That's what we're trying to change. So, what was I going to say? 1 second. Oh, so we have another word, which is a very healthy, happy word. And people will use this word, and it should mean good. But this is where the trick is. What's the word? I hope. Hope. Kavel Hashem, chazak v'mitzvah, kavel Hashem. I hope. Right? Hoping is, it's not guaranteed. I hope it happens. Right? The problem is, it's the same problem that we've discussed with Im Yirtzeh Hashem, right? That 3 word that no one really knows what it means. What does Im Yirtzeh Hashem mean? If Hashem desires it. But the flip side is he might not desire it. We just never say it like that. We're saying, I hope it goes exactly the way I desire. So hope, the Yetzer Hara uses that word because it's more from, it's more wholesome. I hope. What he really is doing, it's really an expectation. He hides it. He puts a cleep on it called hope. So you think you're hoping. You're not hoping, you're expecting. How do you know? How do you know if all of your hopes and dreams are expectations? What happens when you don't get it? When you're on the road and you're not receiving it, or you didn't get it. If you get upset, or you're bothered, or you're stressed, or you're angry, it was never a hope. It was always an expectation.
So what we do is we determine who we are by really what we hope for. In order to beat the Yetzer Hara, you have to be guided, and it has to be drilled in as a human and put on rails as to what you hope for.
But more than that, we have to really be careful because
we all hope.
We have to hope with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kavel Hashem. See, Kavel Hashem, Chazak v'Ametz, Kavel Hashem doesn't mean hope and expect to receive. See, people have this is part of what, at least again, Shaar Bitachon, what we're trying to change here. I'm not talking about any other mahalchim. I'm only talking about Chovos HaLevavos. Chovos HaLevavos does not define bitachon as expectation. I'm boteach b'Hashem that He will give me the parnasa that I need. So bitachon really is an expectation. It's a want, it's an expectation. Because if I have real trust, then I can expect. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. I have both bitachon that a Kodesh Baruch Hu will do what's best. Give up on any thought of the future. And if you do have a thought of the future, because we're human, know and tell yourself that it might not happen if a Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't want it to happen. So even the word hope has been tainted by the Yitzhar. That's what I'm saying. You can never use one word anymore. What does hope mean? Hope means that I want something to happen. It's a good thing, but I trust that a Kodesh Baruch Hu will do what's best ultimately. That's what hope is. If you don't translate it like that, your hope is an expectation. That's just what's become of the world. Because we're built from bodies and ego and wants and desires. And so automatically everything that we hope for is I expect. We don't say it like that, but afterwards you'll know. If you didn't get it, or if you're not getting it and you're bothered, just know it was an expectation. By definition. If you had bitachon meaning, Kodesh Baruch Hu decides what's best. So as long as I'm not getting it, that's what's best for me. I can stay calm and even happy while not receiving that thing that I thought I should get because it's not what's best. That's a life of bitachon. It's a true life of bitachon. Hand in hand with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And he's every second the Kodesh Baruch Hu is like, okay, it's not time yet, not time yet. He's patting you on the on the arm, not time yet. Everything's good. Enjoy what you have right now. I'll give you good stuff too. But don't pigeonhole yourself in what you think. Don't get caught in your Torah mitzvahs cheshbon. Keep doing your Torah mitzvahs. You're doing great. But don't expect everything will happen to you great according to what you think. It makes life a lot brighter, not darker.
Is having a goal an expectation?
It might. Goal is a very vague word.
No, because I'm trying to
think about it. Don't ask a general question. Think about, pick a goal that you've had in your past, let's just say, and now analyze that. What is that goal? Think about it. Each person has to do that. This is very important.
That's where the rails come in.
But that's what I'm saying. I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying not thought. If you have a goal, that means I want to go do something. I want to go through that door. Right? The Rebbeinu Shalom put something in the way and says, no, you can't go through that door. So in order to have that pull, to go onto that rail, you need to have that goal. Is the goal of expecting to walk through that door an expectation? Or is it just what's making me drive in life?
It is a certain way. It is a certain way.
Right. The reason I'm
what
asking,
happens when you get stopped? Let's say you get stopped. Right? If you walk through all the time, that's not a test. What happens when you get stopped?
Fine. So I'm saying
so then you'll tell you no.
In order to get up and go, you have to have that initial push.
To live life.
Right.
But my point is, live life with God. Live life at every moment. It's with trust. Even walking through a door, we don't bring it down to that degree, but we should, because maybe the door won't open. Maybe I'll get stuck in here.
I'll give you another example.
If you want to stay calm,
right,
you need to have I'm living life with a Kodesh Baruch
Hu. The full thought is that when we have a goal to go up, and then we have this, for lack of a better word, disappointment that we couldn't accomplish that goal. Mm-hmm. My question is, are we saying that you shouldn't even get to that point where you're a +1 and then have to go -1? You have to be 0 all the time.
All your goals can be worked out with a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu, I think that my projection of whatever it is X. But I'm only doing it because that's my hishtadlus. Hishtadlus. And a Kodesh Baruch Hu, I know that you're going to decide what happens. We have to remember, everything we do is hishtadlus.
So you have to do it. You don't know.
Correct.
The goal is the hishtadlus.
Goal is hishtadlus. Wants the hishtadlus. Desires the hishtadlus. It's all hishtadlus, not the end result. I'm telling you, put everything into hishtadlus, your life's going to be a better life.
It's like the vernacular.
Right, we'll continue next week. You keep going, yeah?
That's what she said. Anyway, the way you look at it is you shoot for the stars, the moon. If you clear the treetops, you're a lucky guy. That's all. You got to accept that. You didn't get the moon, you didn't get there, but we did our hishtadlus and we did our amuna. And if we clear the treetops, okay.
But that's still a